Get up, stand up, stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. I'm pretty much at the point where, I be hearing the brother be talking a lot about his story and, when the beginning stages of him finding out that he was Israel and he was Benjamin, Judah, and all that stuff. That's pretty much where I'm at, brother. And so pretty much all day today, I've been reading about the Chronicles, reading about the genealogies and different stories about Israel. Because when I first started this journey, right, and I'm just going to say this to the spirit, when I first started this journey, the Lord, he had me teaching the new covenant with a bunch of other brothers out there. I was on the highways. I was doing a lot of things like you would see GMS be doing nowadays, They're standing out there yelling at the nations. But the Lord, he had me events. Now he has me going back to the Old Testament, knowing about who I am, knowing about my genealogy. And guess what I found out? I'm Benjamin, Judah. I'm two tribes, I'm Gad. I'm Joseph. I'm Simeon. I'm Reuben. I'm Manasseh. Ephraim. The whole point I'm trying to get the brother to understand, because he's been given a whole lot. And trust me, brother, I know there's brothers above me. I'm just a sign and a wonder amongst Israel. But I am the story, and you are the story. We're pretty much the walking story. And so when you speak it plays out in my spirit. I can see the quilt. I can see the quilt. And that's why I'm only watching a few brothers in these last few days, man. I really am. When it comes to GMS, when it comes to these guys, man, yeah, I learned a lot of things from GMS, and I learned a whole lot of stuff from, these guys, man. They taught about, the market beast and these certain things, and we're Israel, and they're pushing that Israelite vibration out there. But the thing about these guys is they're still stuck on these carnal images, and they're still stuck on these carnal, what do you call them, man? They're still stuck on this negocentric way of thinking, where they think Israel's going to be all, black and look like Wesley Snipes or John Shaft and all this crap. But it's not going to be like that, man. Israel's going to be scattered throughout all nations. And so these guys are stuck at a point where it's like, because they care about the high season, they care about, the vainglory and all that stuff. That's pretty much what it's predicated upon. They're stuck on a certain level that if you're in the spirit, you're pretty much going to exceed. Such things like the new covenant. We're in a new covenant, man. That's what Christ brought in the New Testament. It's the same song being played. It's this new song. New Jerusalem coming down. The Lord, he reconciled us to the Most High. The Lord being the Son of God is not the son of Joseph. That's what these guys teach, and that's what they believe in. And that's why they're stuck on this certain level where if you're following these guys, you're going to know certain things, but ultimately you're not going to get the whole scale. And that's why I tell our brother, so why is Benjamin? Word of truth, JD Niger. He's going to tell you, that my brother's going to tell you a lot of stuff. And he knows a lot of stuff. He has more years upon me. And this beginning of my journey, I'm just going back into the story, and the Lord, he has me now reading about Israel, because I pretty much know about the new covenant. And how important it is too. It's the same. It's the God of. It's you're seeing the Most High in different aspects. His loving side and his judging side, and that's pretty much what you're seeing with Israel. He was guiding us by a pillar of fire by day and a pillar of fire by night. He was judging all these nations when we came up out of Egypt. And then in the New Testament, you're seeing the Lord's mercy. That's why when it comes to David. David, he pretty much overcame all these nations. He conquered the nations. But guess what? He couldn't build a temple because he was a bloody man. Who had to build a temple? It was Solomon, his son. He was the one that had to sit on the throne. Nathan told David, hey, you can't build a temple, man. You're a bloody fucking man. That represents the Lord. So I just wanted to get that out the way, just to let the brothers know where I'm at. And if you do come across my channel, see, I know how the brother he be doing that voice, right? Because that's the way I sound. But you're blessed if you're, because if you bless Israel, you're going to be blessed. If you curse Israel, you're going to be cursed. So a lot of times I be thinking about why I made it this far and why I'm in this predicament, in this certain situation. It was because of everything that I did in my past few generations. But check it out, right? The more I think about it, Like everything I was doing, the more I realized that it was the Lord that was in control the whole time. I was just doing it subconsciously. But now he has me realize what I'm doing because, you know, ultimately because of the tree that was in the midst of the garden. You know, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. I didn't, I, I, I didn't eat of it before, and that's why you brothers were seeing me in the ways I was doing things. But now I'm like conscious now. You know, I know I've been here many times. I've regenerated in this place many times. I've been here many times, man. I've known you brothers forever. All right. So let me pan the camera around right quick. Just do this video real quick. Yeah, shalom to you brothers out there. All right, cool. Don't mind my voice. I know I got a deep voice, but don't mind it. You know. So I wanted to go into 1 Kings chapter 3. It says, this is going to Solomon right here. So Solomon, the son of David, was Christ. He was that spirit of Christ in the flesh. You know, that's why I say he was the seed of David, because Christ was Solomon. All right. And Solomon, he was given all types of stuff. He was enthroned. He was given a navy of ships. He was pretty much blessed above all kings and all nations. He was given everything. All right. So I'm gonna let you brothers know this, right? Because I know I'm Israel, and there are certain things that brothers do to keep themselves growing and to build. I'm at a point now where it's like, you know how the Levites, their portion was, there wasn't given any portion among Israel. The Lord was their portion. So the way I see things is, I am these spirits. You know, I am that spirit of Solomon. You know, he's in me. I look at myself as first person. I am these spirits, and so when I'm reading it, you get the whole gist of what I'm saying, right? Of course you do. Because I am my forefathers. We are our forefathers. All right? So this is 1 Kings chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, and Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughters and brought her into the city of David, until he had made an end of building his own house, and the house of the Lord, and the wall of Jerusalem round about. It says, only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built upon the name of the Lord until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burned offerings in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was a great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and the Lord said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he has walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. All right, so going back to David, the man of war, the Alashadja, the demon-like power, the one that will put your ass to death. Why could he build a temple? He was a bloody man. He was a man after the Lord's own heart. He represents the Father. If you brothers want to know deeper things, man, because like I said, I'm barely going to the stages of this. Watch the brother Benjamin. He's gonna tell you deeper things, man. I'm listening. I'm watching, and I appreciate it, brother. Sincerely, man. And all the brothers that are of my spiritual family. You know, Bethlehem, my father, Jonathan, Saul, Abner, David. Till I heard something. You get what I'm saying. So let me keep on going. And now, O Lord, my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or to come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered, nor counted for multitudes. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? Right, so what is Solomon asking the Heavenly Father? What is Solomon asking the Most High? You know, give him understanding, give him wisdom, give him... He was a young child. He didn't know how to go in and come out, you know? So That's why he asked that. And the Lord said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked for thyself riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thy enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have even given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. So what was Solomon given? A wise and an understanding heart to judge. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there should not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And, and if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant, and the Lord offered up burnt offerings, and offered peace offerings, and made a feast unto all his servants. And made a feast unto all his servants. Then there came two women that were harlots unto the king, and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night, because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight, and took my son from beside me, while thy handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in thy bosom. And when I rose up in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is thy son, and the dead is my son, and the dead is thy son. It said, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is thy son. Thus they spake before the king. Then said the king, the one said, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other said, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. Right, so these are two women before the king right here that was having this argument, concerning their sons right here. Because why? Because the Lord is going to show the congregation the wisdom of Solomon. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one, and a half to the other. Then spake the woman whose living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearn upon her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and ain't no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and ain't no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High was in him to do judgment. Let's see how much time I have. All right, cool. I still got some time. I'm gonna keep on going. Let me get another chapter. To the brother, he was talking about Hiram and Solomon. See, I'm not building with the pillars of these guys. I'm building with the scriptures, because it plays out in my spirit, brother. I am the story. The brother, he gets it, man. He gets it. You get it, brother? All right, let me keep on going. 1 Kings chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father, for Hiram was ever a lover of David. And Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, Thou knowest how that David thy father could not build a house unto the name of the Lord his God for the wars which were about him on every side, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurring. Right, so Solomon, he had that rest. Nobody was fucking with him. All the nations were subdued under David. He was at peace. All right. And behold, I purpose to build a house unto the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son whom I will set upon the throne in thy name, he shall build an house unto my name. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servant shall be with with my servants. I keep seeing these images right here. And my servants shall be with thy servants, and unto thee will I give hire for thy servants, according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like the Sidonians. And it came to pass when Hiram heard the words of Solomon that he rejoiced greatly and said, Blessed be the Lord this day, which has given unto David a wise son over this great people. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sendest to me for, and I will do all thy desires concerning timber of cedar, and concerning timbers of fir. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea, and I will convey them by the sea in flows unto the place that thou shalt appoint me, and will cause them to be discharged there, and thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees, according to all his desire. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food for his household. Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year. And the Lord gave Solomon wisdom. And the Lord gave Solomon wisdom as he promised him, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon. So Solomon, this is what I'm going to give you. You deal with the spiritual, and I'm going to provide you with the timbers and with what? With the measures of pure oil. Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year. And the Lord gave Solomon wisdom as he promised it, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and they two made a league together. And King Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. So Hiram and Solomon were together. All right. And he sent into Lebanon 10,000 a month. By courses a month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months in the home, and Adoniram was over the levy. And Solomon had 70,010 that bare burdens, and 80,000 he was in the mountains, beside the chief of Solomon's officers which were over the work. 3,300 which ruled over the people that wrought in the work. And the king commanded that they brought great stones, costly stones, and hew stones, to lay the foundation of the house. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders, they hewed them, and the stone quarriers, so they prepared timbers and stones to build a house. Beautiful. So what are they doing? They're building the house. They're starting with the foundation. I'm going to keep on going. Brother, you break it down, it plays out in my spirit, man. I'm still here. Been here the whole time. Been through a whole lot of stuff, but still here. All right, let's keep going. Chapter 6. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of the Sidonians reign over Israel, in the month of Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that is, he began to build a house of the Lord. And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the length thereof was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. And the porch before the temple of the house, 20 cubits was the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house, and 10 cubits was the breadth thereof before the house. And for the house he made windows of narrow lights. And against the wall of the house he built chambers round about, against the walls of the house round about, both the temple and the oracle, and the made chambers round about. And the nethermost chambers was 5 cubits abroad, and the middle was 6 cubits abroad, and the third was 7 cubits abroad. For without in the wall of the house he made narrow rests round about, that the beams should not be fastening in the walls of the house. And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer, nor axe, nor any tool of iron heard in the house where I was in building. The door for the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, and it went up with the winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third. So he built a house and finished it, and covered the house with beams and the boards of cedars. And then he built the chambers against all the house 5 cubits high, and it rested on the house with timbers of cedar. And the word of the Lord came to Solomon, saying, concerning this house which thou art in building, if thou wilt walk in my statutes, and execute my judgments, and keep all my commandments to walk in them, then will I perform my words with thee, which I spake unto David thy father. And I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel. So Solomon built the house and finished it. And he built the walls of the house within with boards of cedar, both the floors of the house and the walls of the ceilings. And he covered them on the side with wood. And he covered the floors of the house with planks of fir. And he built 20 cubits on the side of the house, both for the floors and with the woods of the boards of the cedar. And he even built them for it from within, even for the oracle, even for the most holy place. And the house, that is the temple before it, was 40 cubits long. And the cedar of the house within was carved with knops and open flowers, all was cedar, and there was no stone seen. And the oracle he prepared in the house within to set there the ark of the covenant of the Lord. And the oracle in the fourth part was 20 cubits in length, and 20 cubits in the breadth, and 20 cubits in the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and so covered the altar, which was of cedar. So Solomon overlaid the house within with pure gold. And he made a partition by the chains of gold before the oracle, and he overlaid it with gold. And the whole house he overlaid it with gold, until he had finished all the house. Also the whole altar that was before the oracle he overlaid with gold. And within the oracle he made 2 cherubims of olive trees, each 10 cubits high. And 5 cubits was the one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits the other wing of the cherub. From the uttermost parts of the one wing, even from the uttermost parts of the other, were 2 cubits. Right, so he's building the house right here. We're seeing the building being made perfectly. All right, so I'm going to finish it. And he set the cherubims within the inner house, and they stretched forth the wings of the cherubims, so that the wing of the one touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall, and the wings touched one another in the midst of the house. And he overlaid the cherubims with gold. And he carved all the walls of the house round about with carved figures of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers within and without. And the floors of the house he overlaid with gold within and without. And for the entering in of the oracles he made doors of olive trees. The lintels and the side posts were a fifth part of the wall. The 2 doors also were of olive trees, and he carved upon them carvings of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, and spread gold upon the cherubims and upon the palm trees. So also he made for the doors of the temple posts of olive trees, a fourth part of the wall. And the 2 doors were of fir trees. The 2 leaves of the one door were folding, and the other 2 leaves of the door were folding. And he carved thereon cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and covered them with gold fitted upon the carved work. And he built the inner courts with 3 rows of hewn stone and a row of cedar beams. In the 4th year was the foundation of the house of the Lord laid in the Mount of Ziph. And in the 11th year, in the month Bull, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof, and according to all the fashion of it. So was he 7 years in building it. So he's building it. He's setting the gold. He's setting the cherubims. He's setting all these things to build the house. I'm just giving you the basic understanding. All right. Let me see how much time I have. 23 minutes. All right. I'm gonna finish off with this right here. 1 Kings chapter 9. And it came to pass when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all Solomon's desire which he pleased to do, that the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time, as he appeared unto him at Gibeon. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house which thou hast built to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart should be there perpetually. And if thou wilt walk before me as David thy father walked in the integrity of heart, and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, there should not fill thee a man upon the throne of Israel. Right, because Solomon, he was the one that was going to reign upon the throne. You see? This is some powerful stuff, man. I don't understand it all, but it plays out in my spirit, though. That's what I understand. All right, let's keep going. Then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, there shall not fill thee a man upon the throne of Israel. But if ye shall at all turn from following me, you or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and worship other gods, and and serve other gods and worship them. And that's pretty much what you have GMS. And you got all these guys doing their worshiping other gods. You see? And so the Lord's name is not no Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Akakodah. It's not the Lord's name. It says, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given him, and his house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. And at this house which is high, everyone that passeth by shall be astonished. And so this shall say, what has the Lord done? Why has the Lord done thus unto this land, and to this house? And they shall answer, because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold on other gods, and have worshipped them and served them. Therefore has the Lord brought upon them all this evil. And it came to pass at the end of 20 years, when Solomon had builded the two houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house. Now Hiram the king of Tyre had furnished Solomon with cedar trees, and with fir trees, and with gold, according to all his desire. That when King Solomon gave Hiram, it says that then King Solomon gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galilee. And Hiram came out from Tyre to see the cities which Solomon had given him, and they pleased him not. And he said, what cities are these which thou hast given me, my brother? And he called them the land of Kabul unto this day. And Hiram sent to the king six score talents of gold. And this is the reason of the levy which King Solomon raised, for to build a house of the Lord, and to his own house, and Milo, and the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazar, and Megiddo, and Gezer. For Pharaoh king of Egypt had gone up and taken Gezer, and burned it with fire, and slain the Canaanites that dwelt in the city, and given it for a present unto his daughter Solomon's wife. And Solomon built Gezer, and Beth-horon the nether, and Baal-Aph, and Tamar, in the wilderness of the land, and all the cities of store that Solomon had, and the cities for all his chariots, and cities for all his horsemen, and that which Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem and in Lebanon, in all the cities of his dominion. And all the people that were left of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites, which were not of the children of Israel, right? That's all the nations. Check it out. Their children that were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel also were not able utterly to destroy. Upon those did Solomon levy a tribute of bond service unto this day. All right, that's proven that the Gentiles are going to make it, because the Gentiles were willing to come underneath David. They were willing to serve Solomon. Do you understand it? I know you do. But of the children of Israel did Solomon make no bondmen, but they were men of war, and his servants, and his princes, and his captains, and rulers of his chariots, and his horsemen. These were the chief of the officers that were over Solomon's work, 550 which bare rule over the people that wrought in the work. But Pharaoh's daughters came up out of the city of David, and unto her house which Solomon had built for her. Then did he build Milo. And 3 times in a year did Solomon offer burnt offerings and peace offerings upon the altar which he built unto the Lord. And he offered burnt incense upon the altar that was before the Lord, so he finished the house. And King Solomon made a navy of ships in Ezion Geber, which is beside Eloth, on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent in the navy his servants, shipmen that had knowledge of the sea, with the servants of Solomon. And they came to Ophir and friends from thence gold 420 talents, and brought it in to King Solomon. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right there. I'm gonna come back for part 2, talk about Queen Bathsheba and Solomon. Hey, Shalom.